This was a celebration for all of the first responders that gave so much. We certainly will never forget the loved and the loss of 238 Mississippians that died, but we're moving forward, and many of the men and women that were here today sacrificed their time, their effort to save others. Almost 5,000 rescues by the men and women you saw here today, and it was so good to have President Bush come back to the coast, this one coast theme that we have, and work so hard at thanking these young men and women who have sacrificed so much.
Good afternoon, I'm Billy Hughes, Mayor of the City of Gulfport, and we just want to welcome you here today. When you start looking out across this whole land, you kind of wonder where do you start knowing where we've come from. A lot of us don't have the time or really the desire to look back too far or too hard at some of the old pictures, but we've been doing that this last week. And it's entirely fitting that we pay tribute to everybody who has a story, who was involved, who made a difference in this community and, quite frankly, in America. We want to express our thanks for everybody within shouting distance who's listening and who's here for coming, because you have come not just from the Gulf Coast, but from across our great state, from across the land of America, and even from across the world to make a difference in South Mississippi. God bless you, and thank you so much. We got a lot of dignitaries here, a lot of sponsors here, but the key is this whole event is about recognizing those folks who are quite often taken for granted time and again in our communities. Members of the armed services, the fire and police, emergency medical technicians, people who provide that first ground level bit of response and recovery, kind of helping put things in order and keep that order. But for the vanguard you provided, cutting a path, a mental path, a physical path, a prayerful path for us, we would not be where we are today, and we are entirely grateful for you and the service you gave. Couldn't do it without you. You know, we could have abandoned a wasteland, but instead we recreated our version of paradise, right? And there's no better place that we would want to live or work. But it's because of you. The words transformative, the words visionary are often used, and sometimes they're overused, but not in this particular context, because we took that hospitality we've learned that's ingrained in our DNA and woven in the fabric of who we are and turned it into something that was an example for all to see. Governor Barber's here, Governor Bryan is here, we have the president here, and we could go on spending all day naming folks. But they talk about how we pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, how we put our head down and move forward. But I really think it's just about who we are as a people, that we didn't worry about what was impacting us. You know, we like our stuff, right? But that storm put in quick relief that stuff is just stuff. And when you came to town, you helped us realize and find our loved ones and put things in perspective and move forward and move on. So again, I just want to give heartfelt thanks and expression and make that point once again, that this event is about the people who do make the difference every single day, and it is you, and we thank you and will be eternally grateful. Thank you for the example, and we will continue to look for opportunities to pay that kindness forward as long as we live. God bless, and thank you. I talked about stories, and we are great storytellers in Mississippi, and one of our very own penned a song, Washed Away, Rebecca Powers, and she put a lot of heart and soul in this. She has her own story to tell, but I'd like to call Rebecca on stage tonight, and she's going to serenade you with the story and song about our experience. So Rebecca, welcome.
So for those of you who are here from out of town, welcome to the beautiful Mississippi Gulf Coast. Let's give a hand to this amazing weather. What a great week, hasn't it been? A very emotional week, too. And at the time, Billy Hughes was in the state legislature when this happened. Phil Bryant was our lieutenant governor, and Haley Barbour was our governor. And I was a news anchor here in WLOX, and I went home to sleep for a few hours, and we got trapped in our house. Most of you know my husband and I jumped out of our second floor. We swam. We made it through. We were outside in the eye of the storm. And there was a firefighter from station number 7. If you're here, I don't know. I remember your voice and I remember your name. I'm sorry, your voice and your face, but I never knew your name. So after 8, maybe 10 hours out in the storm, it started to die down. As soon as it died down, holding the gutter, standing on debris, risking his own safety, he went house to house. In the little shell of a house that we ended up in, he said, "Is anyone here?" And I stood on the edge of the couch and screamed, "Yes, yes, we're here." And they started moving debris out. I mean, the things that you people do is truly amazing. You know, the definition of bravery is that you're the only one who knows you're afraid. Because every single one of you who I interviewed after the storm for South Mississippi Heroes, I said, "Weren't you scared?" And they were like, "Of course I was scared. That was the scariest moment of my life." Some of you swam out of EOCs, fighting for your lives from Bay St. Louis, Waveland, D'Iberville. So many of you have so many amazing stories. You are the heroes, but my personal hero through all of it was a man who came and knocked on the back door of the newsroom and said, "Communication is down. I'm here. Here's a list of where the ice is. Here's a list of where the food is. I'm getting on a plane and I'm going to George Bush right now. And I've got Phil Bryant back in Jackson making every call we can, and we are coming to your rescue. Can I talk on the TV?" I said, "Yes, Governor Haley Barbour, you are certainly welcome to come talk on the TV." So here we are 10 years later, and because of his vision, I said, "How in the world are we going to get through this?" Look around. It felt like everything was gone. And he said, we made it through, Camille. We're bigger and better. We're going to be bigger and better. Besides the lives lost, we will get back. And if you look around, we certainly are back because of the leadership and the continued leadership of Governor Phil Bryant and doing what's right with all that money that we needed to recover. So when a lot of people had to move away after Katrina because they lost their jobs, one Gulfport son, I'm going to call him up now, David Gray, he actually was in Nashville for 25 years writing music, and he actually moved back to Gulfport to help. When a lot of people were moving away, he actually came home. He heard about my story. We were friends. He said, "I think we need to write," why don't you come on up, David? He said, "I think we need to write a song about your story." But it's not just my story. It is every single one, all of you who I've met. I mean, raise your hand if you had to lose your home and start from scratch. I bet it's most people in this beautiful pavilion. Look around. Who was affected? Who had a family member affected by Hurricane Katrina 10 years ago? Raise your hand. Look at that. But we did it. Haley Barbour said, he told me that day in the newsroom, he said, "You'll see, each neighbor's going to rebuild their house, then the street, then the block, then the neighborhood, then the city. That's what makes Mississippi great." And I am so proud to say that I am from Mississippi, and I've never been more proud than the past 10 years. I want the whole country to know this was ground zero. All right, it's called Washed Away. It's for all of you, and I hope you enjoy it. Oh, the sky filled up with lightning. It began with pouring rain. I could hear the storm approaching like a distant train. I could see the water rising, staring through the window pane. We held on to each other, floating As the wind and waves were crashing, we said our last goodbyes, surrounded by the water, caught up in the tide. Out of nowhere came an island with roots so deep and wide, anchored to the branches. One voice kept us alive and washed away. Washed away, washed away, washed away. But when I see my sunrise, I'm amazed. When I look into his eyes, all the pain from that day is washed away. It's washed away. It's washed away. Washed away. It's washed away. Y'all know the words, sing along. This is about resilience. We've come back. Washed away. Washed Thank you, David Gray. So we want to thank one of our biggest sponsors, and this is someone who has a connection to South Mississippi. He's the vice president of global for a little company called Walmart, and he is here.
I'm here representing our Walmart corporate offices in Bentonville, and when they asked me, was I interested in traveling to the Gulf Coast to take part in this ceremony, I was just thrilled, because I have to tell you that my path to Walmart was one that relates very closely with each and every one of you. So I joined Walmart in 2007. At the time of Hurricane Katrina, I led the Arkansas State Police, and I'd had a lengthy law enforcement career. Previously to working as a state trooper, I worked as a deputy sheriff, and then prior to that, I worked as an emergency medical technician. So I feel like I've earned the right to understand and appreciate what you do for the communities that you serve. I'll just tell you that our company is elated with how the Mississippi Gulf Coast has recovered itself. We are so proud of what you've accomplished, and we want to be here for you. Yeah, give yourself a hand. We are proud of what you've accomplished, and we hope to be here with you for many, many more years to come as you continue down your path of recovery. So let me just talk for just a minute about the first responders and how Walmart feel about you. So I want to just say thank you, and it doesn't really seem like that's enough, but we really do thank you for everything that you did. So 10 years ago, you left your homes, you left your families, your loved ones, and you went out into the devastation searching for your neighbors who had been injured. Many had lost everything. and many were found themselves in a place where they were unable to help themselves. And so by doing that, I think America realizes that you worked very long days and nights, and those long days and nights turned into weeks, and the weeks turned into months, but you persevered and you continued, and you gave it everything you had as you went about the work of recovering the Gulf Coast. So I would be remiss if I didn't mention another very important aspect of this, and that's each of the first responders' family, friends, loved ones, because I know exactly how important it is. For you to do your job and to do it well, you need that support. You need that love, and you need that reassurance that everything is okay at home while you're out helping your neighbors. So thank you to the families. So we know a lot happened to Walmart stores along the Gulf Coast. And I want to say thank you for what you did to help us recover those stores. For without your help, we would have been much slower being able to reopen those stores so that we can serve you and serve your neighbors and serve the recovery process. So Walmart thanks you for what you did to help us. I want to mention Brian Thomas. Brian's with us here today, and I know many of you know Brian. He is the Walmart market manager here in the Mississippi Gulf Coast region, is responsible for quite a few stores along the Mississippi Gulf Coast. And Brian was here and experienced Katrina, and this was his home, and this is where he had chose to raise his family. And he knows firsthand exactly what you did for us as well. So again, Walmart sincerely appreciates each and every one of you for what you did for us. So let me just briefly mention something else. So I told you Walmart would be here for you for years to come, and we really mean that. After Katrina, I think our company realized that we're a lot better when we're at our best. Our CEO, our chief executive at the time, was Lee Scott. And Lee Scott asked our company, the leaders of our company after Katrina, what would it take for Walmart to be that company that responded so well to Katrina and did so much for the communities? And that has really changed our thinking. It has changed how we respond. And to a large extent, that's why I'm with the company today. I work primarily with a lot of security-related areas, and I have the opportunity and the honor to work with many first responders around the country. So let me just tell you that last week, our current CEO, Doug McMillon, announced that Walmart was committing $25 million over the next 5 years in an effort to help ensure resiliency around the globe and the ability for those suffering from disasters to be prepared to recover themselves. Additionally, we announced $2.9 million that is being dedicated for nonprofit organizations who will take on much of the challenge around the country and around the globe of working directly in helping prepare communities to be more resilient. And certainly of interest to the Gulf Coast area, we committed $500,000 to a couple of nonprofits who will work directly in developing programs to serve you along the Gulf Coast in the event you ever have anything to compare with Katrina. So let me close by just telling you that America appreciates what you do for us. You are among our finest heroes, and what you do does not go unnoticed, and we are forever grateful for what you do. So thank you for allowing Walmart to be part of this very special and historic ceremony today. God bless you, and thank you for everything you do. The ceremonies here today are honoring our first responders
for their efforts during Hurricane Katrina. And you can tell there's a lot of first responder organizations represented today. Police, fire, EMS, the power companies, just a host. You know, it's really endless, the number of first responders. And I think it's a small but a very fitting tribute. You know, it's when I was speaking, I said, you know, I told them thank you, but it doesn't really feel like enough because they risked their own lives, they left their families, and they went out in to help their neighbors in situations they really didn't know what they were, you know, placing themselves into. And so we admire that. And Walmart appreciates, we count upon our first responders every day to help us operate our stores. So it's not just for Katrina, but it's for every day, but especially for Katrina, because those long hours turned into very long days, which turned into very long weeks and into the months. And so it's a bit of time where they could come together, see each other, reminisce, tell stories, and have a little laughter.
What was Walmart's part in today's event? What does a sponsor really mean?
Well, obviously we underwrote some of the costs associated with this. Now, we weren't the only sponsor, but we were very proud to be able to do that because, like I say, it's quite costly to bring together this many people in an event like this. So there again, it's just part of our kind of corporate citizenship that we're very proud to be able to do to help functions like this come to be.
And what is Walmart's part in continuing to rebuild the Gulf Coast?
Well, we have recently, our Chief Executive Officer, Doug McMillan, he's recently announced that Walmart is committing $25 million over the next 5 years to helping communities around the globe better prepare and respond in case of disasters and emergencies. Now, additionally, there's $2.9 million that will help nonprofit organizations go out and actually work with communities to prepare themselves to be more resilient after a disaster strikes. And then finally, here in the Gulf Coast, there are several nonprofit organizations, and we're going to provide about $500,000 that will actually allow them to organize, train, and prepare and serve the Mississippi Gulf Coast when disaster strikes again.